I still remember the first day I saw him. It was my first year in college, a place full of new faces, laughter, and dreams. I wasn't looking for love, honestly. I didn't even believe in it that much. But sometimes, love doesn't ask for your permission, it just happens quietly, like rain that starts without warning. He was sitting 2 rows ahead of me in class. Tall, confident, with that calm smile that somehow felt safe. I don't know why, but I noticed him. And maybe that's where everything began, with a glance that lasted longer than it should have. We didn't talk for weeks. I was shy, and he seemed too focused on his work. But one day, it rained, heavy and sudden. Everyone ran for shelter, and I forgot my umbrella. I stood there, half soaked, half confused, when he walked up, smiled, and quietly held his umbrella over me. No words, just that small gesture. And it felt like time slowed down. That's how it started, not with fireworks, not with drama, just with kindness. He started talking to me more often after that. We'd sit together in the cafeteria, share notes, and laugh about silly things. He wasn't just nice, he was genuinely caring. He'd notice the smallest things, like when I was tired, or when something was bothering me. He'd always ask, "You okay?" And he actually meant it. I didn't realize when friendship turned into something deeper. It just happened. Our conversations became longer. Our silences became comfortable. I found myself waiting for his messages, smiling at my phone for no reason. He made everything feel lighter, easier. A few months later, he confessed. He said, "I don't know how to say this, but you've become my favorite part of every day." My heart skipped a beat, literally. I didn't answer right away. I just smiled, because sometimes silence speaks louder than words. That was the beginning of us. College life suddenly became more beautiful. We did everything together, studying, attending events, long walks after classes, those endless late-night calls. He used to bring me coffee during exams, saying, "You focus, I'll handle caffeine." We celebrated birthdays like they were festivals, full of surprises, gifts, and promises. He made me feel like I was the only girl in the world. And maybe that's why I trusted him more than anyone else. He wasn't perfect, but he made me believe that love could be pure. He was protective, but never controlling. Caring, but never overwhelming. He respected my dreams, encouraged my ambitions. He used to say, "One day, I'll make sure you never have to fight alone." And I believed him every word, every promise. Time flew by. College ended, and we both stepped into real life, jobs, responsibilities, and the chaos that comes after dreams start meeting reality. But even then, we made it work. We fought sometimes, about silly things, but we always came back stronger. He had this way of holding my hand and saying, "I can't stay mad at you." And every time, my heart melted. We were together for 5 years. 5 long, beautiful, messy, unforgettable years. We had our share of ups and downs, but the love, it always felt strong enough to survive anything. Or at least, that's what I thought. I still remember our last trip together. We went to the mountains, just the two of us. It was freezing cold, but we stayed up all night talking about our future. He told me how he wanted to build a small house. How he wanted to plant trees around it. How he wanted to name our dog Shadow. He painted a picture of forever. And I fell in love with that forever. When we came back, everything felt normal. Or maybe I just wanted it to feel normal. Because looking back now, I can see the signs that I ignored. The way he started getting distant. The way he laughed less. The way he started checking his phone too often. But at that time, I didn't want to believe that something was wrong. We had been through so much together. How could it all change overnight? I kept telling myself, he's just stressed. Work pressure. It'll be fine. I trusted him completely, with my heart, my secrets, my life. There were days when he would come home late. And I would wait, no complaints, just love. I'd cook his favorite meal, thinking maybe he'd smile and say thank you. Sometimes he did. Sometimes he just ate quietly and went to sleep. And every time, a small part of me wondered, is he tired, or is he drifting away? One night, I remember sitting by the window, watching the rain, the same kind of rain that brought us together years ago. But this time, it didn't feel romantic. It felt lonely. I could feel the distance between us growing. Not in miles, but in moments. I wanted to ask him what was wrong. But every time I tried, he'd say, "Nothing, I'm just tired." And I'd drop it. Because I was scared. Scared that maybe the answer would break me. Still, I kept trying. Surprising him with small notes. Planning his birthday. Doing everything to bring back that spark. He'd smile, say thanks, and then go back to his phone. And I'd pretend not to notice. Because when you love someone that deeply, you convince yourself that the problem will fix itself. I didn't know then that love alone can't save a relationship. Sometimes, no matter how much you give, it's never enough for someone who has already stopped choosing you. It's strange, isn't it? The same person who once couldn't go a day without talking to you can one day go weeks pretending you don't exist. And all you can do is watch the distance grow, hoping it's temporary, not realizing that maybe forever has already ended. If I could go back in time, I'd hug that version of me. The one still trying to fix everything. Still believing love could heal all wounds. Because she didn't know what was coming. She didn't know that her world was about to change forever. But that's where real stories begin, right? Not when everything's perfect, but when everything starts falling apart. You know, sometimes your heart whispers that something is wrong, but your mind refuses to listen. You keep making excuses for the things you already know deep inside. That's what I was doing. Lying to myself every single day, because the truth was too heavy to face. He had started coming home late again. He said it was work, extra meetings, pressure. And I believed him. Because I wanted to believe him. Because I loved him. One night, he left his phone on the couch while he went to take a shower. It was nothing unusual. But a message popped up. Just one line that changed everything. Asterisk, I miss you already, can't wait to see you tomorrow, red heart. Asterisk. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. My hands froze, my heartbeat raced. And 1,000 thoughts ran through my head all at once. I wanted to close my eyes and pretend I hadn't seen it. But my fingers moved on their own. I unlocked his phone. And there it was. A long chat history, filled with words I used to hear from him. Now they were meant for someone else. He called her baby. He told her how special she made him feel. He said things he once said to me. Almost the same words. As if love was just a script he was repeating with someone new. My heart sank. The room started spinning. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream. But no sound came out. It was as if my body knew the truth before my mind accepted it. He came out of the shower humming a tune, completely unaware of the storm waiting for him. I stood there, holding his phone. He looked at me, and in that instant, he knew. His face changed, his smile faded. We both stayed silent for a moment that felt like forever. Finally, I asked, "Who is she?" He looked down. No answer. Just guilt. That silence said everything I needed to know. Tears rolled down my cheeks before I even realized I was crying. My voice broke as I said, 5 years, you promised me forever, remember? He started to say something, excuses, explanations, meaningless words. It just happened, it's not serious, you were busy. Every sentence cut deeper than the last. I wanted to shout. I wanted to ask why. But instead, I just stood there, numb. Because when someone you love betrays you, it doesn't feel like anger first, it feels like death. Like losing a part of yourself that you'll never get back. He said, "I didn't mean to hurt you." And I whispered, "Then why did you?" He had no answer. Just silence. And that silence broke me more than any words ever could. That night, I packed a small bag. He tried to stop me. Said we could fix things. But I couldn't stay. Not in a house full of lies. I walked out, leaving behind not just him, but every dream we built together. When I reached my parents' house, I thought I'd finally find comfort. But instead, I faced questions. What happened? Did you do something wrong? Maybe you should have adjusted more. They said, men make mistakes, you should forgive him. But no one asked if I was okay. No one saw how broken I was inside. I realized something that day. When a woman walks away, the world blames her. Even when she's the one who got hurt. So, I stayed quiet. Because sometimes silence is easier than explaining pain that no one wants to understand. Days turned into weeks. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Every corner of my room reminded me of him. Every sound, every song brought back memories I didn't want to feel. I deleted his number, blocked him everywhere. But you can't block memories, can you? They live inside you. They play in your head when everything else is quiet. One night, I found our old photo frame. The one from our last trip. We were smiling, that perfect, fake smile that hides everything. I stared at it for a long time. Then I finally put it away. Because sometimes healing starts with removing the things that keep reopening your wounds. There were moments I wanted to call him. To ask if he ever missed me. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew. I was missing a version of him that no longer existed. The man I loved was gone. The one who remained was just a stranger wearing his face. Some nights, I cried so hard that my body hurt. But even in those nights, I told myself, you'll survive this. You have to. Because no one else was going to save me. Not my family, not my friends, not him. It had to be me. I remember one morning. I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were swollen, my face pale. I didn't recognize the girl staring back. She looked empty. But beneath that emptiness, there was something else. A spark, a quiet strength. And I promised myself that day. I will not let his betrayal define me. It wasn't easy. There were days when I wanted to go back. To pretend nothing happened. But then I'd remember that moment. The message, the lies, the silence. And I'd remind myself I deserve better. Better than being an option. Better than being a backup plan. Better than being someone's half-love. Healing didn't come fast. It came slowly, in pieces. One day I stopped checking my phone. Another day I stopped crying over him. And one day, I smiled again, a real smile, not the fake one I used to wear. It was then I realized. Losing him wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning of finding who I really was. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it broke me. But pain has a strange way of teaching you strength. And in that pain, I started to rebuild myself. Not for him. Not for anyone else. But for me. Because sometimes, The most painful endings are just the start of becoming who you were always meant to be. You know what hurts the most? It's not that he betrayed me. It's that I loved him enough to believe he never would. After I left him, life didn't suddenly get better. It wasn't some dramatic transformation where I woke up one morning and felt free. No. Healing was ugly. It was messy. It was slow. Some days I didn't even want to get out of bed. The world felt heavy. My heart felt empty. And everything I once loved, music, coffee, sunsets, felt meaningless. But somewhere between all those sleepless nights, a small voice inside me whispered, "You can't stay broken forever." So, I started with little things. Like making my bed every morning. Forcing myself to take a walk. To eat breakfast. To breathe. It sounds simple, right? But when you're broken, even breathing feels like work. I joined a local art class. Not because I was good at painting, but because I needed something, anything, to remind me that I was still capable of creating beauty. And you know what? That first brush stroke on a blank canvas felt powerful. Like maybe, just maybe, I could paint my life again, in new colors this time. People around me thought I was fine. They saw me smiling, posting pictures, laughing at small things. But no one saw the tears that came at night. No one saw me scrolling through old messages. Then deleting them again. Like trying to erase memories from my heart. But every time I survived another day without crying, I counted it as progress. Every little step mattered. One afternoon, I went to the cafe near my old college. It used to be our favorite spot. The one where he'd surprise me with coffee and silly jokes. At first, I almost turned around and left. But then I sat down. And for the first time, it didn't hurt as much. That's when I realized, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without breaking. I started writing in a journal. Letters to myself. Some days I wrote, "I miss him." Other days I wrote, "I'm proud of you." And slowly, those second sentences started appearing more often. There was a night when I looked up at the sky. The same sky we used to watch together. And I whispered, "I hope you're happy." But deep down, I wasn't talking to him. I was talking to myself. I was wishing happiness for the girl I used to be. The one who gave everything. And got nothing in return. My friends tried to set me up with someone new. They said, "You should move on." But I wasn't ready. Because healing isn't about replacing people. It's about rediscovering yourself. I didn't want a new person. I wanted to become a new version of me. So I focused on that. I started running every morning. The cold wind against my face felt like freedom. Every step felt like letting go of the weight I had carried for too long. And one day, I stopped thinking about him mid-run. I just ran, for me. I also started spending time with my mom again. We cooked together, laughed together. For the first time in months, I felt warmth that wasn't tied to pain. She held my hand one night and said, "I'm proud of you. You didn't give up." And that one sentence. It healed something deep inside me. It took me months to accept that closure doesn't come from someone saying sorry. It comes from understanding that you deserved better all along. I stopped waiting for his apology. I stopped checking if he still watched my stories. Because I finally realized I don't need his attention anymore. I need my peace. Sometimes I still see couples holding hands, laughing together. And it hurts, just for a moment. But then I smile. Because I know I once loved deeply. And even though it ended painfully, I'm proud that my heart was capable of love that pure. One evening, while cleaning my room, I found the bracelet he gave me on my birthday. For a moment, I just stared at it. That little piece of metal once meant everything. Now, it was just a memory. I placed it in a box. Not to forget. but to let go. You see, healing isn't about pretending the pain never happened. It's about learning to live despite it. To smile even when the scars still exist. Because every scar tells a story. A story of survival, not weakness. And one morning, I woke up and felt something new. Peace. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet. Just a soft feeling that said, "You're okay now." I made coffee, stood by the window, and watched the sunrise. For the first time in a long time, I didn't think of him. I thought about me, my journey, my strength, my heart. And that's when I realized I had finally come home to myself. Life wasn't perfect. It never is. But it was mine again. And that was enough. I started working again. Met new people. Found new reasons to smile. Sometimes I even laughed without guilt. Without feeling like I was betraying my past self. Because I wasn't the same girl anymore. I was someone who had fallen apart. And rebuilt herself from the pieces. People often say, "You've changed." And I just smile and reply, "Yes." That's what pain does, it transforms you. I wasn't bitter anymore. I didn't hate him. I didn't hate love. Because I understood. Sometimes people don't stay. Not because you weren't enough. But because they weren't ready to love you right. So I stopped blaming myself. I forgave him, not for him. But for my own peace. And the moment I forgave, I felt free. Free from the memories. Free from the pain. Free from the version of me that kept begging for answers. Now, when I look back, I don't see tragedy. I see transformation. Because that heartbreak, as painful as it was, became the reason I met the strongest version of myself. And maybe that's what love was meant to teach me all along. How to love myself when no one else did. People often ask me, "How did you move on?" And honestly, I didn't have a perfect plan. I just refused to stay broken. I stopped waiting for someone to come and fix me. Because I finally understood that no one can save you except you. It's strange how life works. The same moments that once destroy you can later become the reason you grow. I used to think my story ended when he left me. But now I realize that was just the beginning of the real story, my own story. When you love someone so deeply and they hurt you, it changes the way you see the world. For a while, I saw everything through the lens of pain. Every smile felt fake, every promise felt temporary. But slowly, I learned that not everyone is the same. That love itself wasn't the problem, choosing the wrong person was. There came a day when I was walking home from work. It had just rained. The streets were quiet, the air smelled like new beginnings. I remember stopping in the middle of the road and realizing I felt light. I wasn't carrying that sadness anymore. I had finally forgiven the past. That's when I smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because I was finally at peace. I started setting new goals for myself. Small ones first, like reading a book, learning to cook something new, traveling alone. And as I achieved each one, I felt stronger. It was like building a new version of me, brick by brick, with lessons I learned from every tear I cried. One day I looked back at my old pictures, the ones where I was with him. And instead of pain, I felt gratitude. Because if that relationship hadn't broken me, I would never have found this version of myself. The one who doesn't beg for love, who doesn't chase, who doesn't settle. The one who knows her worth. I won't lie, there are still moments when memories return. A song, a smell, a random thought. But they don't hurt anymore. They just remind me of how far I've come. How strong I've become. And how beautifully I've healed. I used to think strength meant not crying. Now I know real strength is crying, breaking, and still choosing to stand again. Because pain is not the opposite of strength. Pain is what creates it. Sometimes I look around and see people trapped in toxic relationships, afraid to leave, afraid to start over. And I just want to tell them, you'll survive. I know it feels impossible right now. I know it feels like your world is ending. But it's not. One day, you'll look back and thank the version of you who walked away. The one who chose self-respect over comfort. The one who refused to stay unloved. Because love should never make you lose yourself. Real love helps you find yourself. After everything, I realized that closure doesn't come from someone else's apology. It comes from accepting that you deserve peace more than you deserve answers. That's what I found, peace. Now when people see me, they say I've changed. They say I'm stronger, wiser, calmer. And I just smile. Because they have no idea how many nights I cried to become this person. They don't know how much pain it took to build this strength. But I don't regret any of it. Not one tear, not one sleepless night. Because everything I went through shaped me. It taught me who I am, what I deserve, and what I'll never accept again. If you're listening to this and you're going through something similar, I want you to know this: you are not weak. You are not broken. You are just in the middle of your becoming. Don't rush the healing. Don't force yourself to forget. Feel everything, the pain, the anger, the emptiness, because that's how you'll eventually find yourself again. And when you do, you'll realize that no heartbreak, no betrayal, no loss can ever destroy the kind of strength that's born inside you. The strength that comes when you have nothing left but yourself. I used to think love was about holding on. But now I know love is also about letting go, with grace, with peace, with forgiveness. Today, I don't hate him. I don't wish him bad. I wish him peace, just like I found mine. Because real healing is when you can remember the past without bitterness. When you can look back and say, thank you for teaching me what not to accept. And to that younger version of me, the one who cried herself to sleep, who begged for answers, who thought she wasn't enough, I just want to say, you made it. You survived the storm. You turned your pain into power. And I'm proud of you. I still believe in love. But now, I love differently. I love with boundaries, with self-respect, with balance. Because I've learned that love without respect isn't love at all. It's just attachment disguised as affection. Now, when I look at the sky, I no longer ask why me. I simply whisper, thank you. Because if life hadn't broken me then, I would have never discovered how strong I could be. So here I am, not the same girl I used to be. Not the girl who begged for love, but the woman who knows her worth. Not the girl who cried over losing someone, but the woman who celebrates finding herself. I may have lost a person, but I found peace. And that's a trade I'll never regret. Because sometimes the most beautiful chapters of your life will start after the most painful endings. And maybe that's what healing really is, learning to see the beauty in your own scars. So if you're listening right now, I just want you to know, your story isn't over. This pain you're feeling, it's not the end. It's the beginning of something stronger, something wiser, something more beautiful. One day you'll look back, smile, and realize, the person who broke you also built the strongest version of you. And in that moment, you'll thank life for breaking you, because that's how you became whole. If this story touched your heart, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes, a small story can heal a broken soul.